joined the police in 1986. As Barry said, I went to university first. Very lucky, I had a good education, went to a Catholic, all boys Catholic grammar school. I often say the only thing missing from my great Catholic grammar school were girls and Protestants. But it was a really good school and I got a really good education and got to go to university. First person in my family to go to university, and there was a bomb went off in the university and it killed 2 people who were police officers. I didn't know it at the time, but they were doing an education programme. I think they were doing a law degree in the university at that time. So that had a big impact on me. I'm from a Catholic background, and you go back to the 80s, policing probably wasn't seen as a real option for many Catholics in Northern Ireland. Percentage-wise in the RUC at that time, something less than 10%, about 8% they would say was the makeup of Catholics within the RUC. RUC at that time was about 14,500 officers, mostly men, because we didn't recruit many women either, which is not a good thing. Something that again we're intent on addressing. I remember my very first patrol in Derry, where on a night shift we got into a grey Land Rover and drove up the Northland Road, and my sergeant told me to get out. We were going to do a checkpoint. Police getting out and stopping cars, and I was absolutely terrified. I thought everybody going past was going to try and kill me. So I jumped out of the back of the Land Rover and ran for the nearest bushes and hid there for about half an hour until the sergeant called me back to the back of the Land Rover. Terrified. The vast majority of people in Derry were very kind and very supportive, and it's, for me, I remember the very small kindnesses of people. People weren't openly engaging with policing at that time. The vast majority of Catholics and nationalists on this side of the river probably felt they couldn't engage with us. But I do recall being in what was the Rosemount neighbourhood team at that time, and walking through Rosemount and Cregan almost on a daily basis. And people would come past you and just whisper, "God bless you, son," or "Look after yourself." And that really meant an awful lot to me. So we have local policing teams. So you're in your mum or dad's car and you have a road traffic collision and you need the police out. It's the local policing team who go and deal with the road crash and help you out of that situation. You also have local neighbourhood teams that Catherine talked about, and they deal with more critical areas in neighbourhoods. They're dealing with large-scale antisocial behaviour problems, they're dealing with drugs problems, they're dealing with real social issues, and they work very closely with community groups to try and solve some of those issues. The other uniform part that we have in the city here is TSGs, and those are support group officers. Maybe you would know them as rat police. So very often those are the guys and girls you see in the blue suits, dealing with the not very nice situations, and most recently maybe flags protests in Belfast where you've missiles being thrown at police, petrol bombs. TSG officers do that. So if we have a missing child or a missing person, who do we use? The TSG folks, because they're trained to search. If we're doing searches for drugs, who do we use? The TSGs, because they know what to look for and where to look.
Why, or do you think the Catholic community is too scared to join the police force?
Probably for a number of historical reasons. I talked about through the 80s and 90s the representation of Catholics within the RUC. So you've no historical background in joining the police. You've no family histories in joining the police. Within the Protestant community, you would have generational pieces, just like any other industry. My daddy did this, or my mummy did that, so I might think about doing that as well. With that comes a familiarity with what policing is about, and I think then it makes it much easier to make a choice. The other point around why Catholics didn't historically join the police was around intimidation, and that still happens unfortunately in our society. We have officers from Catholic nationalist areas and their family, once they joined the police, they couldn't go back to visit their mum and dad. They would be stationed far away from home. When my grandfather died in Belfast, I couldn't go to his funeral in the chapel, just because of where he lived. So there's things like that are a big impact on people. And I'm really pleased to say that nowadays we get Catholics applying regularly. The last recruitment campaign, 5,500 people applied to join the police.